All right, everyone, remember when the Republican Party actually stood for something and didn't cower in fear whenever they were ahead? Well, neither do I for the most part. You have to go back quite a while, maybe to the early Clinton era. The Republican Party right now indeed controls the House, the Senate, and the White House. It controls the legislative and executive bodies and has the chance right now to control, after a fashion at least, the Supreme Court. To have more general influence on the Supreme Court by minting Kavanaugh as the Ninth SCOTUS Justice. They've decided that's probably a bad idea. I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's because they want globalism. Most of the Republicans are controlled opposition neocon hacks. They're rich, old, dying. They represent that same corporate elite. They don't want to crack down on censorship. They love censorship. They don't want to stop wars. They're, the main warmongers. It's all just a fucking floor show, and they should have D after the name, just like the Democrats could put R after the name. It wouldn't make a difference. People right now are starting, I think, to wise up to this fact. What I've noticed is that Trump is the only Republican trying to accomplish anything, which is because he's not a Republican. The Republicans have been the coward party now for decades. They simply refuse to win. They get scared of it. Donald Trump's not a Republican, though. I've been saying all along, he is a business Democrat from Manhattan. He chose to run as a Republican for opportunistic reasons simply because Hillary Clinton happened to... He had to have known a decade ahead of time. When Clinton lost to Obama, he had to have known, because he's rubbing elbows with these people, hey, after a couple terms, or a single term, whichever, of Obama, Hillary Clinton will run. She's going to be the Democratic nominee because she's already struck some backroom deal. He knows the Clintons. He knows that they struck a deal. They probably told him to his face that they struck a fucking deal. They probably told him years ago. They probably told him right after Obama was elected. Oh, yeah, Hillary's real bummed out, but, she's going to get an appointment of some sort, and she'll be running in 2016. We're hoping for your endorsement, Donald, by the way. Will you cut us a check for her election campaign at that time? I guarantee that they came out right up and said it, because at the time it was understood. Trump leans towards being more of a Democrat, even while lambasting them for some of their policies. Remember, he was an anti-Bush sort of figure. Sort of a centrist, kind of sort of Republican in name, but really a Democrat in ideology for the most part. But he's a 90s Democrat and an 80s Democrat. He's a Democrat back when they had sanity. So he can't stand with them now that they've been overrun by the so-called progressives, which are anything but interested in progress. So right now, a la Kavanaugh, you've got a situation where they've got the votes to put him through, but time and time again they keep... Chuck Grassley really should be kicked out of Congress because he keeps pushing back the date. They were supposed to vote literally this morning, literally a half an hour from now is when they should be voting on confirming Kavanaugh. He should be officially a SCOTUS justice within the next half hour. That's not going to happen. Grassley pushed it back to Thursday for the testimony because Christine Ford, who over and over again refused to respond and kept bickering over, procedural things and who was going to testify and what form is it going to take, who's going to question me, blah, 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 as though she has a right to inconvenience every fucking American taxpayer on a 30-plus-year-old allegation anyway by browbeating Congress. But the Republicans didn't dare to stand up to her. They're afraid of being Me Too'd. They're afraid of being called anti-woman. Meanwhile, I see absolutely no hesitance within the Democratic Party for them to ignore the issue of Al Franken, to ignore the issue of Keith Ellison, to ignore that so many of their donors are perverts like Weinstein, like Kevin Spacey and people like that. Whether the allegations get borne out by them going to prison or not makes absolutely no difference. In Al Franken's case, you have a photograph. In the case of Keith Ellison's love interest at the time, you have a police report, phone calls, and picture evidence. You have all sorts of stuff. Meanwhile, you have a 35-year-old accusation for Kavanaugh that is not corroborated by any witness, and it totally shuts down government because the Republicans are cowards. The Republicans right now come in two varieties within Congress, other than Rand, Amash, and a very, very small number of others. Cowards, people who maybe mean well, but they've been totally, totally demoralized for unknown reasons, despite the fact that they indeed won the last election. They should be riding high, but they just can't take winning. They don't understand what it's like to win. They just consistently lose over and over. They retire with grace. The idea is that they're trying to manage the decline of their own party the same way DC's trying to manage the decline of the United States in total. They probably hate Trump for doing well on the economy. They want people to be more poor. because they're a bunch of idiots. And the other group are corrupt. They're controlled by the same people as the Democrats. They don't want Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. By the way, did I not warn that Kavanaugh, while technically a tolerable, potential appointee to that position, wasn't the best person for the job? What was that other person, that woman there that Trump had on his, 3 or 4 person shortlist? We wouldn't be having this problem right now, would we? Kind of hard to Me Too a female, because the Democrats have difficulty with that. They have a difficulty. Why do you think they spend so much of their time attacking, women with opinions that run counter to the Democratic Party? Eventually they're going to make a hit piece specifically about, the alt-right females or something, and most of them won't be alt-right at the time. They'll attack like Candace Owens and Blonde and all these other roaming millennials. I mean, it'll happen. Eventually they'll dedicate their fire specifically to those on the anti-left, the anti-democrat, anti-sort of labor thing, and they'll aim their fire specifically at anything that's not a white male. They will do that eventually in due time to try to crush out more competition. You just wait a few months or a year or something. It'll happen before 2020, I guarantee you. So the Republicans, they're tired of winning. They're afraid of it because they're like, oh my God, we might actually win this battle. Oh, it's be terrible. Now, they've got to understand, they're doing from a strategic standpoint, no sane person would do what they're doing. This is an old allegation that the majority of the U.S. public doesn't even believe. Most of the public is tired of the floor show bullshit. The Republicans, though, keep pushing back the date like a bunch of idiots when they have a mandate to simply proceed with the voting. Now they've waited long enough, so there's a second allegation. Now it's similarly opportunistic. You've already got at least 3 individuals who are countermanding and saying, look, no, we don't know. This is totally a bullshit. It's totally false. It's a false allegation. It did not happen. No, Brett Kavanaugh did not go up to a drunken co-ed and wag his dick in their face. It never happened. There's nobody corroborating this tale. There had to have been someone semi-sober there at the time. At what was it, Harvard or Yale or something. It didn't happen. It's a false allegation being made by someone opportunistic who probably wants attention or money. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But the Republicans will probably want testimony from her too. Oh yeah, well, the day after, we were going to have the vote on Friday, but we'll bump it back to Monday again. And the whole thing will repeat over and over again for months and months to come. That's the big worry, is that the Republicans right now are literally trying to throw the midterms so that when there is no wall, the SCOTUS slot remains unfilled forever, and nothing gets accomplished for 2 fucking years. They'll be able to blame the Democrats. They just can't. The Republicans don't have enough strategists with sanity to be able to be the party in power credibly for more than a half of a term. That's what it ultimately boils down to. Where are the great minds within the Republican Party? They've been shoved aside. Rand, they're never going to allow Rand to be, the leader of the Senate or something. It's never going to happen. Even though he deserves the position, would actually lead them to victory and know how to manage them as a party, it'll never happen because there are too many corrupt and cowardly people within the GOP. That's why I say Trump is not a Republican. He's a Democrat in Republican clothing. This was, by the way, this was said openly by some of the never-Trumpers early on. They were right. But that wasn't a bad thing. It's nice to have someone leading the Republican Party who's capable of getting something accomplished. Meanwhile, what have the Republicans in Congress done? They screwed ACA reform 3 times. They failed to fund the wall now twice. They've backed down on SCOTUS. They've backed down on certain regulations. They've gone full neocon, full warmonger mode on Russia. What have they accomplished? When's the last time that Congress as a whole did anything for the American people? When's the last time Congress spawned a good idea? Been a while, hasn't it? In fact, it hasn't happened while any of us are alive. It's never happened. Not in the last half century, at least. Congress is a joke. And people are too... Hillary Clinton comes out the other day, oh, American democracy is under attack. Where's the fucking democracy? Where's our republic? It's not functioning like one. It's functioning like a bunch of abysmal, bitter individuals who have been totally bought out, obstructing everything that's trying to be accomplished by the one person trying to do his job, which is Donald Trump. That's what Congress has devolved into. The Republican Party is a fucking joke. It's like when people say, you've got to stop the Democrats, so just hold your nose and vote for the GOP. Okay, when are they going to stop the liberal agenda? Doesn't seem like they are. When are they going to man up? When are they going to stand in the way and actually say, hey, we're the ones in charge here. Why are we listening to this bullshit? We have a mandate. We can lower taxes. We can slash spending. They can't do anything about it. We got the votes. When are you going to get off your asses and do all these wonderful things you've promised to do for decades and decades if only people vote for you? And then they vote you in, you do nothing, and then you get voted back out and then wonder, well, what the hell did we do wrong? And you watch, they're going to blame Trump. What's going to happen? The media, the entire media basically, the establishmentarians, all the NGOs and donor class, they're all going to dogpile Trump if the Republicans lose the House and or Senate. If that happens, they're going to blame Trump, but it will be the GOP and Congress's fault for not doing what Trump wanted to do. That's why he was elected. He was elected by saying, yeah, immigration's a problem. We're going to fix it. We want tax reform. And I'm tired of the proxy wars and a few other things. There were 5 or 6 main platforms. He's fulfilled a couple. He's trying to fulfill the rest, and Congress is stonewalling him. That's what it's about. It's like, oh, well, we got our tax cuts. We can't do anything else. It's too much winning. It's scary. The Republicans are scared of being the party that's actually in charge. Why should I vote for cowards? Why should I vote for inept hacks that don't know what they're doing? I get told over and over by people, well, the Second Amendment will be endangered if the Democrats... Yeah, of course. Where are the Republicans defending it now? Look, the Democrats, in the wake of all these shootings, the Democrats keep making proposals, and the Republicans now are going along with it, basically. Even the NRA on certain issues is back down. They're cowards. They're fucking... there's no future for the Republican Party if they can't have a leader with a spine and actually follow that leader. That's Donald Trump. It is the party of Trump. He's trying to take it back to where it was in like the Eisenhower era. The problem is, if Dwight Eisenhower's rose from the grave and ran again, like if he was eligible for not being dead and having 2 terms already, he couldn't win. He couldn't be nominated in today's Republican Party. It'd be impossible. It doesn't matter how many good speeches he makes or how sane he sounds or what his tax proposals are. Say, well, people are paying way too much. I'm going to give you half your money back. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at all because the Republicans are controlled by a bunch of idiot corporations in the wake of Citizens United especially. That's what it's about. It's run by the Mitt Romneys and the Jeb Bushes, the ineffectual turd cowards that are terrified of actual reform. That's why they won't work with Trump. Most of the obstruction of Trump's agenda is coming from the Republicans, not from the Democrats. It would almost be better for him if the Democrats do win in the midterms. Because then in 2020, Trump can say, hey, I would have loved to have given you the wall. Democrats took over. Couldn't get him to work with me. Fuck him. Hey, vote me in and give me, people, new Republicans. Now, who cares if a bunch of neocon losers get displaced by Democrats anyway? It's the same thing. That's about all. Peace out.